Let me introduce Fadi. He does not need any introduction from myself because he has a quite visible career as a businessman, as the chairman of the International Chamber, which actually our universities are members too. I can say that Fadi is a Georgian businessman.
That's true.
With non-Georgian ethnic origin, but still, Georgian businessman who lives in this country already 18 years, Fadi, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and went through all the transformation of our country, and I think he has one of the richest experience entrepreneurs can have in Georgia. So rich in how to say, good sense, and sometimes maybe not so exciting things, but still this is the experience, and I think this is something valuable which Fadi is ready and willing to share with you. Besides, Fadi is a good friend of our universities. In bad times when agriculture university faced the problems of authorization, Fadi was among those who, without hesitation, threw his whole weight behind us and supported us. He was a very good friend of founder of our universities, Kakha Bendukidze, and they worked a lot together to improve the business climate in Georgia. And
with you as well.
Well, yes, but
because
you are big guys.
You were the vice minister of reforms.
Yes.
Yeah. So we worked with you as well.
I had the privilege to be. Thank you, Fadi, for that, for appreciating my role as well. So I will not really waste your time and stand between you and I think impressive lecture which Fadi has to deliver. Thank you, Fadi. You are always welcome here, and please, floor is yours.
Thank you, thank you. Do you hear me well? Usually I don't use a microphone. My mother-in-law thinks that my voice is very loud anyway, so. Anyway, thank you very much, Vato. Greatly appreciated your introduction. We're going to make it a very interactive session, okay? I'm not here to make you sleep, okay? So I will tell you a little about my experience, and then I would like to take questions from you. Before I start, I would like just to remember my friend Kakha Bendukidze. Kakha, I met him whenever he moved from Russia to Georgia, he became the Minister of Economy. And funnily enough, the first meeting I had with him, we had a dispute. At that time, I was the chair of the Georgian Business Confederation, an organization that included all business organizations in Georgia. And we had prepared some legislation to improve the business climate. And I met him in his office. He was in office since maybe a couple of weeks or something like this. And I'm sure some of you met Kakha, know him, how straightforward he is, and I'm very straightforward as well. And he said, we don't need you to work anymore on what you have prepared. Whatever you have paid for, because, we had hired people to do the work, I will pay you, and then the government will continue. I told him, I'm sorry, but this is not how it works, okay? We are the private sector here, and we want to be involved in the process. So it ended in a very polite way, but there was a tension, but the tension just vanished after a couple of other meetings, because we were kind of on the same wavelength. But what I would like to tell you is that none of us would be standing here today if it wasn't of Kakha Bendukidze. And today I want to speak about leadership, and I don't think that any person can impersonate leadership more than Kakha Bendukidze. A guy who dedicated his career and life to help Georgia out of its problems and to drive Georgia from a totally failed state to a country that has become the pride of every Georgian. And as a matter of fact, I mean, I will not dwell too long on Kakha and my friendship with him, but we worked a lot with Kakha, mainly on arbitration, because our plan was to bring the International Arbitration Court of Paris, the ICC Arbitration Court, to open in Georgia as a first ever office outside Paris. And we were very close to conclude this agreement. Unfortunately, there were problems inside ICC in Paris that led to stopping the project, but Kakha was a visionary. I mean, he understood the importance of having a substitute structure to the judiciary that was, and might be corrupt for quite a time. So he was a man of vision, he was a leader. We lost him at the worst period for Georgia, unfortunately. I mean, this is when we needed him the most, when he left us. But perhaps he needed to rest, and that's why he left us. I mean, he deserved to rest. Anyway, I will tell you a little about my background, I mean, who I am, besides having been the boyfriend of Iya Parulava, because this is how people know me, okay? Oh, that was the husband of Iya Parulava. Wherever I go, even if I go buy tomatoes somewhere, I mean, they recognize me anyway. So, you're happy, okay. So, I'm a Lebanese businessman. I was born in Lebanon. I'm an agricultural engineer by education. I worked with my father, who had a very big company in Lebanon and the Middle East dealing with agricultural equipment. We have a fertilizer factory, we sell greenhouses, chemicals for agriculture, irrigation systems, seeds, and I mean, you name tractors, equipment, etc. I had a clash with my father when I was maybe 23 or 24. After working for him for a year time, he, okay, I will not get you into details of it, but he was unhappy with me and I was unhappy with him. So I left the company and he was laughing. He told me, let us see how long you will stay without coming back. Because when I left him, I had like few $100s in my pocket. And I rented a greenhouse. I didn't even have the money to pay for the greenhouse. So there was a guy whom I knew because I was an extension agent for my father. So I knew him. I used to go and give him advice. He wanted to rent his greenhouse. So I told him, okay, I will take it from you, but I will pay you when the season will be over, when I sell my tomatoes and my cucumbers. He said, okay, no problem. I know you. I know that I will be paid. Then I had to find the labor for the greenhouse. So I found a family of refugees from a Christian village that had to leave their village during the war. A whole family. There were like 10 people. The father, the mother, the brothers, the nephews, okay. So I had an agreement with them that I'll give them 30% of whatever we sell from our crops, and then they will work for me on those bases, and we agreed, and this is how we started. And from this less than a hectare greenhouse project, after 3 years, I had about 15 hectares of greenhouses, which were like the largest greenhouse project in Lebanon. And this is when I started exporting vegetables from Lebanon to Switzerland. I had an agreement with a Swiss cooperative called Migros. Maybe you know Migros, they say in Turkey, because they open in Turkey. And I started exporting by airplane tomatoes to Switzerland and to France. And one day they called me from Switzerland. They said, your tomatoes are fantastic, but the problem is that some are big, some are small, some are red, some are less red. I mean, you need to solve this problem because they need to be homogeneous. This is not Lebanon, okay? This is Switzerland. They buy by the gram, okay? So I said, okay, I will solve it. I went to Holland and I purchased a sorting machine. I did a small packing house and I bought this special machine that sorts the tomatoes by color and by weight. And we homogenized the production and the business went very, very well in Europe. And this is when I was contacted by a Jordanian guy who had a huge packing house in the Bekaa Valley in Lebanon, and he was exporting to the Arab world. But he didn't know how to do it, and he said, okay, would you be my partner and we will do it together? I told him, okay, no problem. I mean, we can expand it. And the business went like really huge. I mean, we were exporting about 400 tons of vegetables every day to the Arab world. I mean, it was like huge quantities. And the business started developing. One day, because maybe some of you know that I'm in the banana business. I mean, at least this is how we started in Georgia. And in 1987 or 88, this means I was on my own since 5 years already, I was contacted by Dole. Dole is a very big American company. They export and distribute fruits all over the world. I mean, it's the biggest company in the world for fruits and vegetables. They had a banana vessel stuck in the port of Beirut, and the receiver was making their life very difficult to take the goods. And you know, with bananas, they're very perishable fruits. If you don't sell them immediately within a week, you know, I mean, they turn yellow and then they have spots and you have to throw them. So, I mean, it was like emergency. So they told me, listen, would you take this vessel? I told them, I would like to help you, but I cannot pay. It was like $600,000-$700,000 that I had to pay. They said, that's okay. Take it, you pay us after you sell. I said, very good. So we removed the bananas from the port. I had to find how to ripen them because, you know, when you take the bananas, they are green. You have to ripen them in a special ripening houses so they become yellow so you can sell them. And we started with the banana business in Lebanon like this. And Dole extended us a line of credit. So they were telling, okay, we send you a vessel, you sell it, you pay us, we send you another vessel. And this is how the business started with Dole. In 1989, Dole contacted me. They came to Beirut and they said, listen, I mean, we hear that in Turkey the market will open for bananas. We would like to work with you for Turkey. So I said, no problem. I had a partner that I sent to Turkey, and we opened an office there, and we discharged the first ever banana vessel in Turkey. Then in 1990, in January, we opened in Romania, because Turkey, Romania, we are on the Black Sea. And I remember this was 15 days after the Ceausescu couple were murdered. I mean, Romania was just getting out of communism. And it was very funny. This I will never forget, because I used to go to Constanza, because this is where the ships were docking and we were discharging our goods. We were selling the bananas in the port without even ripening them. And we had a kind of cabin at the port, small cabin like 5 square meters with curtains. And people will enter and pay in cash inside this cabin with the curtains at the port. And at the end of the day, we would have $300,000-$400,000 in cash inside the cabin in a country where anyone could come with a gun and remove the money. Then the problem was to send the money back to Turkey, because we were using Turkey as our platform for the region. And it was impossible to take $400,000 or $500,000 or $1 million in cash to Turkey. It was very risky. So one guy, a Turkish guy, told me, listen, I will send you one guy, an exchange office in Turkey. He told me, listen, I will send you one man every day. He will come and take the money from you. And you send one guy to my office in Turkey, and you can take the money in Turkey. Okay, so no bank, nothing at all. I mean, it's just word. I had no other choice. Said, okay, we started with the first transaction, was maybe $300,000 or $400,000. The guy came, took the money. The very next day, the Turkish guy gave us the money in Turkey. And this is how we developed in Romania. After Romania, we opened in Moldova. After that, in 1993, we opened in Kazakhstan. In 1994, in Kyrgyzstan. 1994, also in Azerbaijan. Then in Georgia, in Armenia. And this is how we developed in the region. Then we introduced a new range of products, which were the chicken. I mean, you know that I used to sell chicken as well here. So we were covering the whole region, and this is how then we introduced tractors, then I bought a newspaper here, then we developed little by little. But in 1998, and I was telling your colleagues about it earlier, this is when I came to Georgia the first time physically, although we started our operation in 1996. The competition, one of our competitors, spoke to the state security, and they decided to remove us out of Georgia. And they jailed one of our employees, accused him of intention to smuggle bananas. Intention. And they transferred $400,000 from our account to the budget, and they sealed our warehouses. This is when I had to come here to sort this issue because, you know, I mean, we were at that time an American company working with another American company, so I went to the US Embassy for assistance, and they assisted us on this issue. The very next day, I was having dinner with the political officer here in Tbilisi of the US Embassy. She was a lady, Molly O'Neill. She loved Georgia very much. And she told me, you know, Fadi, you look like a Georgian, you think like a Georgian, and you work in this part of the world. Why don't you move your activity from, for this part of the world from Turkey and make it in Georgia? And at that time, my relation with my wife was terrible. So I said, better the Georgian mafia than the wife at home. So I called my driver. I told him, go to my bedroom, pack me a suitcase, and bring it to Georgia. And this is how I stayed in Georgia since that time. This was 1998. On the 28th of April, 1998, this means next week, it will be exactly 18 years that I live in Georgia as my base here. But what is very strange about my relation with Georgia, and I believe that I must have Georgian genes, definitely. Definitely I have Georgian genes because my great-grandmother was Cherkess. So probably there are some Georgian genes in her genes as well. When I arrived to Georgia on the 28th of April 1998, I woke up at the Sheraton because I came with Turkish Airlines at night to the Sheraton. Very next day, I opened the balcony door and I look at Tasminda, and the weather was fantastic. Clear blue sky, the green hill, because, you know, after all the rain, I mean, it was, and those red roofs. I said, my God, I mean, this country is so lovely, so beautiful. I mean, you know, it was like love at first sight, although I was here to solve like serious problems that we were having, including our assistant in jail. And I cannot explain this passion that I have for Georgia. I cannot explain it. I mean, you are Georgian. I mean, for you, it's your mother country, and you were born here, and you love your country because since you were 1 year old, you're here to our country, Gaumarjos, to Georgia, the best country in the world, to our ends. Okay, I mean, it's normal, and you have a fantastically beautiful country. But for a guy who is not a Georgian and who falls in love with the country, it is something unbelievable. And I remember 4 or 5 days after I arrived, I went to Armenia to check our business there. And I went with a taxi driver, Koba, I remember. He had this red taxi. And when we came back from Armenia and we crossed the border, he signed himself. He did the sign of the cross because he was in Georgia. And I did the sign of the cross because I felt I was back home. This was 4 days after I arrived to Georgia, okay? So, you know, there are things that you cannot understand. Sometimes you love someone and you cannot give it a rational explanation. I mean, maybe the person is, I don't know, not handsome or treats you bad or whatever, but still, I mean, there is this love that you cannot explain. And at that time, in 1998, 1999 till 2003, you don't remember, you were all kids at that time. criminality was terrible here. We had many problems as businesses, as a business. I had one of my employees who was killed. I had another one who was kidnapped. Our offices were bombed. Other offices were burned. We were shot at, my house and our offices, 8 or 9 times with AK-47. So those were very difficult times. And people would tell me, I mean, people wouldn't understand, because every time something would happen, like they killed my assistant, I went on TV and I said, okay, what happened today increases my determination to stay in Georgia and to expand my business. And for those who did it, next time, try better. Then when they kidnapped my assistant, same message. When they bombed my offices, same message. And they, I mean, those who were doing this could not understand. They said, I mean, what is this guy dealing with drugs, with weapons? I mean, for bananas and chicken, I mean, they couldn't understand. But the reason behind it, and went beyond their understanding, because, you know, we were operating in several countries of the region. And all the security services in the ex-Soviet Union were interrelated at that time and working very closely together. And if you live under pressure in any of those countries, they will make you live under pressure in all the other countries. They would know that you are someone who can be scared. We never made money in Georgia. I mean, it's not secret. As a matter of fact, we lost a lot of money in Georgia. But for us, it was not a matter of making money or not making money. It was a matter of remaining in the country just to ensure our presence in the other countries of the region. Difficult times till 2003. In 2003, things started improving very quickly from 2004. I mean, when the Saakashvili government came into power, I mean, you are aware of the reforms that happened during that time, and Kakha Bendukidze was the cornerstone of those reforms, and Georgia really turned from a failed state totally to a country that was back on the map. And I will give you one observation, as a matter of fact. Before 2004, whenever I used to receive guests here, you know, I would invite my staff to come and have lunch or dinner with the guests. And my staff, Georgian staff, would be talking of the Soviet times, and Georgia during Soviet times, how prosperous Georgia was, how beautiful, how tourists from the whole Soviet Union were coming here. It was all about Georgia during the Soviet times. When Saakashvili came into power and the reforms started, after 2-3 years, very strangely, whenever I would receive guests and my staff would attend, I didn't hear anymore stories about Georgia during Soviet times. It was all about, oh, did you see this? They're building this here, and they changed, and they fired the police, and they hired new police, and we are moving forward. You know, I could feel that there was a pride emerging within my staff, and they were very proud to see that the country was moving forward. When the government changed in 2012, we went backward, unfortunately, for 3 years. And for those who are following on the economic news, you must have heard me fighting all the time with the government regarding the revenue service, how they treat businesses, competition agency, the stupid visa law that they came with, and then they reverse, and all this stuff. It's only very recently, after they reversed most of the stupid laws that they passed, and after Kvirikashvili became prime minister, that we feel again that we are becoming a little normal with Kvirikashvili, because I mean, before it was a total disaster. I mean, we couldn't communicate with any one of them, and every time we came with an issue, they say, you are politically motivated, you are saying this because your friends are Saakashvili, and well, my friends are not. I was fighting with Saakashvili, and I was fighting with the Saakashvili government. I was fighting with the Shevardnadze's government, Because as a matter of fact, I was president of the American Chamber of Commerce when when Shevardnadze was in power. Till 2007, I was president of the AmCham. And after that, I became president of ICC. So it was all the time fights with the government for the benefit of the business community. Anyway, I don't want to bore you more with my stories. I just want to bring, before we start interacting directly, I just want to bring one issue or one experience in my life that marked me very much, and I would like you to know about it and to learn about it as well. In 1993, I told you I had this Jordanian partner and we were exporting a lot of vegetables and fruits to the Arab world. It was the 13th of April in 1993. The guy disappeared with $2.3 million. He ran away and disappeared with the money of the company. And $2.3 million was a hell lot of money for me, I mean, because I was the general manager of the company, I was responsible for it, and this is money that we had to pay to the farmers who were selling us. I mean, it was a huge, I mean, even today, $2.3 million for anyone is a huge amount of money. So, I was sitting in my office when this happened, and frankly, not knowing from where to start to solve the problem, because it was a huge problem for me. And there was an older man sitting in my office. He used to be in charge of the ripening of our bananas. And I was sitting like this. I remember very well, sitting like this, not talking and thinking from where to start. And he was maybe 75 years old, sitting the other side of my office. And he told me, Mr. Fadi, why are you sad? Why are you worried like this? You are an honest man, and you didn't screw anyone. You were screwed in this thing, okay? Don't worry, everything will open, and your problem will be solved. Don't even think twice. And I swear to God, it is as if someone brought me $2 million and gave them to me. Why I am telling you this story? I'm telling you this story so you realize that in life, when you have a problem or when you're fighting, what you need is not money. What you need is to have spirit, to have a good morale, is to have a high spirits. We all fall, we all make mistakes, and you all experienced it as well. Whenever you make a mistake, a big mistake, you will see people coming telling you, you see, you're an idiot. We told you, you didn't want to listen to us. We told you don't do this. This is not the approach when someone has a problem. When someone has a problem, even if the person is wrong, you have to raise the morale, the spirit of the person, so the person can stand on their feet and they can fight back and they can have the spirit to move forward. If you're at war, I mean, I was at war. If you're at war and one of your friends who is reckless and take risks went somewhere and got shot, what do? You tell him, you idiot, I told you, don't go there, you're going to be shot. Or you go, you take him and you start putting something here to stop the blood and take him to hospital. In business and in daily life is exactly the same thing. Whenever you see someone distressed, whenever you see someone who has a problem, never blame this person. Never tell this person, we told you don't want to listen, you're an idiot, you think you're intelligent, and this is the worst thing that you can do. And this is what most of the people do. You do it with your family, you do it with your friends when they have problems. If you're, I don't know, your friend split with the girlfriend or the boyfriend, you say, you see, we told you she's not a good person for you. This is not what they want to listen. What they want to do, don't worry. You will be good, you will be fine. You'll find someone better. You will come out of your problem. I'm with you. What can I do to help you? This is not directly linked to business, but this is a very important part of business. This can happen with your employees. If you want to be a leader, you need to know how to keep the spirit always high with your employees. Never blame your staff. Never blame your colleagues. Always stand next to them when they have a problem. If they made a mistake, never embarrass them in public. Always bring them one-on-one, speak to them, tell them what is wrong, give them another chance. Everyone is allowed another chance, a second chance and a third chance and a fourth chance. We need to be humans in our interaction with each other. All is not about money, okay? And the more you move forward in life, the less money becomes important for you. The more importance you will put to human relations, to your relations with others, because this is what counts. When you have a problem, all problems are not solved with money. Problems are solved with human warmth, with taking care, someone taking care of you, you taking care of someone else. I wanted to just speak to you about this because I believe it is very important, and this should be like the cornerstone of the relation between every person's, whether it's professionally or family or whatever. Anyway, I sound like a priest in church, but still it's an important thing. Okay. Let's open it to questions after, and don't feel embarrassed. You can ask any question. I'm happy, I'm very comfortable answering any kind of question, even if you think it's an embarrassing one, okay? You, I'm sure you have a question.
Thank you for good advice, Adi. And I want to ask you, you are a businessman, and what happened today? Today is free business. Because,
Today, free business?
yeah, free. Today. What,
Look, I'll tell you.
because they said our party was politicians, there was not free business and there was no problem. And today, what happened?
I will tell you. We still have a bad business environment. The past 3 years were very bad for business. Now, under the Saakashvili government, there were very good things that happened, but there were very bad things that happened as well. Many businessmen were arrested without any justification. Many of their businesses were taken away from them without any justification. They used to jail people and then negotiate with them how much money they're gonna get to release them from jail. And this was a terrible thing for business, and we fought this a lot. Very much we fought against this. But under the previous government, there was a kind of vision. This means, yes, there were those terrible problems, but at the same time, the country was moving in a certain direction. With this government, it's more nebulous. It's not clear. They started with something, then they backtracked, then, okay. Now, to answer specifically, because your question was very specific, if business is free. No, business is not free. Let's agree on it. And the day before yesterday, we were meeting with the economic advisor to the Prime Minister regarding the issues that some of our companies are facing. They were having problems with the government. And we were speaking of one particular company, a security company, and the guy was saying, this is a very difficult case for us to solve because there are some conflict of interest with a company that belongs to someone who's very influential. What does it mean? It means that some people in the government are using their influence to throw their competitors out, the same way it used to happen under the Shevardnadze's regime. And I can give you the names of companies. We have a member whose name is Algorithm. They used to manufacture notebooks, computers here, and win tenders with the Ministry of Education. They were close to the previous government. When this government came to power, they totally destroyed them. And they're my members, and we are fighting for them. And there are other companies like those companies. So, it is not as obvious as under Shevardnadze, not as mean than under Saakashvili, but yes, the government still uses state resources to throw some businesses out of business, to put pressure on businesses that they don't like or that they perceive as a threat. Same as the agricultural university here when the problem were 3 years ago. It was a politically motivated move, okay? It was not, okay. So yes, those things happen. No business is not free. Anyone who says that business is free is an idiot or a liar. And I said it to the media. No, business is not free. In addition to that, the business climate is not satisfactory. And I will give you an example. The lari devaluated, this you all know. Foreign direct investment has decreased. GDP, the growth is minimum. I was very surprised 2 days ago. I was reading the statistics of Lebanon. Lebanon is a country of 4 million people like Georgia. It has 2 neighbors. One is Israel. Lebanon is in a state of war with Israel. And the other neighbor is Syria. There is a terrible war going on in Syria. There are 1.5 million refugees in Lebanon. 1.5 million refugees in Lebanon. This means 25% addition to the population are refugees, a burden on the country. The Arabs have instructed their citizens not to travel to Lebanon. Now, there is political instability. We are unable to elect a president. Since 2 years we don't have a president. The government is not working. It's totally paralyzed. The parliament is totally paralyzed. Despite all this, in 2015, Lebanon attracted $3.2 billion of foreign direct investment. $3.2 billion of foreign direct investment. With all this, and the currency didn't devaluate since years. Okay. Now compare this to Georgia. Then you realize that there is something fundamentally wrong with the policies of the government. It's not an issue that there is a war in Ukraine. It's not an issue that the ruble has devaluated or the hryvnia has devaluated or that in Azerbaijan they had a devaluation or there is a decrease in GDP in the region. It's not only this. It's a matter of confidence. Investors go where there is visibility, where there is predictability. Visibility and predictability doesn't always mean a good business environment, but it means predictability. This means if I go to Azerbaijan and I know that everyone is corrupt and I want to work, I know I cannot work if I don't bribe. Okay, maybe it's not the right thing to do, but still there is predictability, there is visibility. You know how to operate. In Georgia, you don't know how to operate. They tell you, no corruption, etc. But you know very well that some of the deals cannot happen if you don't get the blessing from this minister or that person in power or that person who's not in power or whatever. And this is what's keeping investors out of Georgia. What's keeping investors out of Georgia is the revenue service that gained Georgia a terrible reputation over the past 20 years. Georgia has a bad reputation because so many investors were screwed by the revenue service and by the Georgian courts. So no one wants to get involved in a country where there are problems of this sort. And this is what we have been explaining to the various governments since 20 years. And this is what they don't want to understand. But there is, I mean, this is our limitation. We cannot do more than this. So am I satisfied with the business climate in Georgia? Definitely not. I mean, and I always speak about it very loudly and openly. But maybe it's the process and they have to learn from the process. So, question? No, you with the glasses. Not you? No?
Yeah, hello. I wanted to ask a question. I
I don't have much information about it. I don't have much information about it. But anything that can open channels for Georgia with the Far East is a good thing. I mean, these are huge markets for us. And at the same time, it gives us an exposure and it mitigates our risk with our immediate neighbors. Because today, most of the business of Georgia is done with the Turks, with the Azeris, with the Armenians, which is normal, they are our neighbors, with Russia partially, okay, with Ukraine partially. Any new markets that we open, we are mitigating and diminishing our risks with our immediate neighbors, which is a good thing. So we don't put all our eggs in one basket, because if one problem happens in one country, it affects all the other countries. It's not that, okay. So, in addition to that, there will be discussions about free trade agreement with China, which is also a good thing. I mean, Georgia will not benefit a lot because we don't export much, but still, it can play a role of a good catalyst to bring investors in the country. Plus, also they want now to lift visas from the Chinese. You know, if you have one Chinese village that comes to Georgia, this will be like 20 million. Okay, but also this is good, and I'm happy that the government understood that their initial policies to close on visas was a terrible one and a very stupid one, and I'm happy that now they are opening again the visas to everyone, because we cannot live if we don't have foreign currency coming in. I mean, the lari will never appreciate if we always import more than we export, or we don't have enough direct investment, we don't have enough money coming from tourism and from visitors. Every visitor pays $500-600 or $1,000 when they come here. The more visitors you get from abroad, the more foreign currency, the stronger your lari will be, the higher the purchasing power of the population.
My name is George Luminadze. I'm representing in Geo Free Market. We know each other from Facebook, I guess.
It's a miracle you still talk to me.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I was late for your main lecture.
I can repeat it.
It's okay. I have just one question. Maybe somebody already asked it, but what do you think about Prime Minister Kvirikashvili's economic program or economic proposal? You positively spoke about it when it was declared, but we now hear that it was delayed or something like that. And in general, what do you think about government's economic policy, current government's economic policy?
Look, I will tell you. I mean, I'm a very balanced person and a very independent person. I think that as bad as I thought of Kvirikashvili's predecessors as prime ministers, as good as I think of Kvirikashvili, I think he is a good prime minister. I think he's an honest person. This is to start with. I don't think that he has any personal agenda, any political ambitions that would push his own agenda, personal agenda, before the agenda of the country. I think that the guy is really committed to move the country forward. And if you look at his economic program, it's very close to the economic program of the opposition. As a matter of fact, I think that he hijacked the economic program of the opposition and made it his own economic program, which was a smart political move to do, you know, because he removed the weapons from the hands of the opposition. So I highly think of Georgi Kvirikashvili. I worked with him when he was Minister of Economy. At a time, I was fighting with everyone in their government, and he was the only person who always opened his door for us, always listened to our problems, always wanted to accept that there was a problem. Because the others were saying, no, 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 there is no problem. You are politically motivated. You're saying this because you are pro-UNM, which I'm not pro-UNM, and I was never part of the UNM. But this was like a very weak line of defense. Now, the program of Kvirikashvili is what we have been, in big part, what we have been asking for as the business community. Still, there are things in his program that we would like to modify and to improve. But in general, it is a step forward. Okay, in general, it's a step forward, and I personally trust him as a person. I don't trust the government as a government, but I trust Kvirikashvili as a person. Okay, so this is my personal opinion about this issue.
Do you think what is a solution of lari? And as I know, one of Kakha Bendukidze's idea was to have a free currency, like we now it's illegal to purchase a dollar in Georgia. So if we could purchase dollars in euros, so what do you think about this?
I think it is a very good idea. As a matter of fact, if you go to Lebanon, and that's why the economy is so vibrant despite all the problems, you arrive at the airport, then you take a cab, a taxi. You can pay the taxi in dollar, you can pay the taxi in Lebanese lira, it's exactly the same. The rate is 1.5, it's stable. People will take dollars, they will take euros, they will take local currency, is exactly the same. And I believe that this would stabilize the currency and will decrease the speculation against the currency when you have, I mean, all the currencies are open to be traded in the market. This is my personal opinion, and I have seen it in countries, and where it is applied in countries, in general, the currency is quite stable. You don't have those fluctuations. So I think this would be a good thing for Georgia to do.
Can I ask as a follow-up?
Of course.
So, yeah, sorry. So as a follow-up to not the question about the currency, which I totally support, by the way, but the previous one. So you spoke a lot about Kvirikashvili and how you trust him and you agree with him, and it's great that you can see some changes in his strategy and political, and I mean mostly economical strategy. But what do you think will happen in October 2016 with the elections? I mean, now with 61% of those who are undecided, can Kvirikashvili sort of push people to vote for Georgian Dream, or will it be UNM, or what will happen?
Look, it's very difficult to predict what's going to happen because we are so volatile right now. However, what I can tell you is that there is a reverse of situation within the Georgian Dream. Me as an observer, I'm not a political analyst.
Of course, now I'm asking you because you've been here through Shevardnadze, through Saakashvili, and now with this. So
I will tell you. I mean, today we are in a very awkward situation when you look at the Georgian Dream. Today, Georgi Kvirikashvili is giving legitimacy to the Georgian Dream. It's not the other way around, I mean, which is very strange, I mean. But still, this is the situation. If Kvirikashvili would resign, the ratings of the Georgian Dream will go down much more than they are right now. And as a matter of fact, ICET and ICC, the International Chamber of Commerce and the International School of Economics, they publish an index, which is the business index. And this the business confidence index. And this index was going down steadily quarter after quarter till Kvirikashvili took over. When Kvirikashvili took over, the index increased by 25% within a month or a month and a half. And we called it the Kvirikashvili effect. Because people, I mean the business community, trusted Kvirikashvili as a person, okay? Now, but we also know that Kvirikashvili has his own limitation within his own policies, I mean. Although probably now, everyone within his party realized that he is the horse and that no one is going to come with any legislation to undermine or no one is going to oppose any legislation that he is pushing because they're not idiots. I mean, they realize that if Kvirikashvili is undermined, they will all sing together. So, no one knows what's going to happen. One thing for sure is no one is going to get a majority on their own. No party can get a majority. There will be new alliances. It's going to be played by the 1%. This means if someone gets 17% of the vote, the other party will get 18 or 19%. So it's going to really be played by a small percentage, and that's why those small satellite parties that are being created right now can play a very important role, I mean, to balance. I mean, if you take this new political center, I mean, if they bring another, I don't know, they get a 4 or 5%, and they join forces with another one of those two bigger parties, this can make a huge difference. Who's going to run the government? So it's very volatile. We don't know. Many things can change from now till October. And you remember in 2012, I mean, the UNM was winning without even question. Then they showed those prison tapes and everything collapsed. And this was like a couple of weeks before the elections, or 3 weeks. So no one knows, but today there is no strong force in Georgia. I mean, the whole political spectrum is made of a mishmash of parties with limited power, okay? Having said that, always the party that is in power has a leverage over other parties. Why? Because they have the administrative resources in hands. First of all, they can manipulate. This is a fact. It happened under Shevardnadze, it happened under Saakashvili, it will happen now. Then people who are in the administration and who found their place in the administration and their families will vote for the party who is in power already, because they don't want changes. They say, oh, now we have a job, God knows if there is a new party, maybe we will be out of job. So usually the parties that are in power, even if they are equality in polls with competing parties, they usually get higher scores during elections because of those administrative issues. Yeah. Personal opinion, I'm not a political scientist at all, but as an observer. So, more questions? No more questions? Okay. So thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for attending And if you need anything from ICC, you are more than welcome. Free University and the Agrarian Universities are members of ICC. And we have ICC Youth as well. That is a very important arm of ICC. I mean, we do train the young people between the age of 17 or 18 till 26. We teach them what they don't learn at university. I mean, things that are like very particular to business. So I would highly encourage any one of you to join ICC Youth. You can contact Mariam Khokhobaya behind, okay, and follow up with her, okay? She's the Indian who's sitting behind, okay?